Today we sit down with Dr. John Jaquish. He's the inventor shaking up the entire fitness industry. He does not shy away from controversy. In fact, he has some pretty extreme views on diet, and he's got some bold claims about bone density and muscle growth, and there's a lot of people who criticize this guy. It is a pretty fantastic episode. We're going to talk about muscle growth, talk about peptides. You are going to want to tune in.
You will learn more in this hour than you will learn reading probably 100 different books on how to build muscle, how to lose fat, how to lose weight. Tune into this thing. Well said, Kelly. Let's get to it. Dr. J, welcome to the show. I believe today is going to be one of those podcast that you really need to strap in for, because a lot of the beliefs that you and I may have about working out, about nutrition, are going to be totally debunked by Dr. J. Welcome to the show. Kelly, would you do a quick intro for him, and then we'll dive right into this. I want to take every moment we can.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm very excited about this show. And today I would say that we're going deep with one of maybe the most polarizing figures in contemporary fitness, Dr. John Jaquish. And he has his PhD in biomechanical engineering. Biomedical engineering. Sorry. Thanks for the correction. And he's the inventor of the world's most effective bone density building medical device, which is now deployed as OsteoStrong. That's actually how I connected with Dr. J. And they're found in clinics worldwide. He is the creator of X3 bar, which we're going to find out about. It's a training system that's used by the NFL and Olympians and everyday people like us who are looking to gain muscle with a lot less joint stress. And this is amazing. He is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. It's one thing to be an Amazon best-selling author, but Wall Street Journal, that's a big deal. And he makes some bold claims, and he's been called out on a lot of them, from his credentials to his marketing. But beyond the headlines, we're going to find out today what's real, what's not, and what our audience, which is folks over 50, can actually take home to become stronger and healthier and maybe even superhuman. So Dr. J, thanks so much for being with us today.
Kelly, Mark, thanks for having me. Yeah, I do. That was a very good introduction. The only thing I want to add is, all the people who called me out regretted it, because they were wrong.
Okay, well,
I've never made a statement that I couldn't back up. I've never made a statement, even online, where I didn't just put a reference like right there, even in a like a social media comment, because people deserve the evidence. Like I think, when I look back at the last couple of years with the pandemic, we were told we were going by the science, but if you read the science, we were not. We were being lied to. And it's like, it's really not that hard to just read the science, so you can know if they're telling you the truth or not. And I think a lot of people were really shocked that you can indeed do that. And so I just, everything I back up, I wrote the book, my Wall Street Journal book, it's a Weightlifting is a Waste of Time. And we sold 600,000 copies of that. Part of the reason I called it Weightlifting is a Waste of Time was because I wanted people to realize that for the most part, what they're doing with fitness is not going to give them any result. And the standard fitness programming that's out there is really just designed for genetic outliers. And also, who developed gym equipment? The genetic outliers did.
Yeah.
Right, because it worked for them. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work for the rest of us. There's a study, I wish I had put this in the book, but late last year, the study came out from lifehack.com. They had a huge survey. What they determined was 90% of people quit their fitness program within 90 days. Now, these are serious starts. They had to, not just wandering into the gym a couple days and going, I might start working out again. Concerted effort, joined a gym, had a plan. 90 days later, they rolled their eyes and they quit. So did they quit because they gained too much muscle? Because they looked too good? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
They probably quit because they got nothing.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I remember I joined this gym. I lived in the Napa Valley. when I was in high school. I joined this gym called La Concha, which is the court. Everyone in town, it was like the cool place to be. And I watched guys from my last, between junior and senior year, because I had my driver's permit. So I could drive to the gym during the day. That was the only, because you get your learner's permit 15 and a half. So I started going to the gym, and I noticed a lot of characters there, and I kept track of them. And year after year, they all look the same. And as I suppose, went to college, played sports, met a lot of athletes, a lot of genetic outliers who did put on muscle easily. And then I'd look at the guys in my fraternity, and they'd go to the gym, and yep, they were more like me. They just went in year after year and nothing happened. And they did all the right stuff. They ate all the right stuff. Some of them even took performance enhancing drugs, and still nothing happened. 6.6% of males in the United States that are over 18 have used or are currently using anabolic steroids. Well, how come the number of people who actually look good with their shirt off is like 0.00006% instead of 6.6%? Why is that? Like, if performance enhancing drugs are what's missing, how come the people that take performance enhancing drugs don't look good? Like, there are pieces of evidence out there that bring us to a conclusion that nobody likes. And the conclusion is, what's in a gym really doesn't do much for you at all, unless you're a genetic outlier. And so it's like, okay, just telling people that what they're doing is a waste of time is not necessarily productive. What's the right answer? So I knew the question very early on. It was, what's the right answer? What am I going to tell people to do? I needed to figure it out for myself. What am I going to do? Because I was awful tired of spending years in the gym getting nothing out of it. Now, I still wanted to work out. I know that exercise is the greatest. And Peter Attia said this a couple weeks ago, and I think it's just a brilliant thing to say. There's almost nothing you can do that's damaging to the body with relation to just abusive habits, alcohol, shitty food, whatever, that compares to the benefits of exercise. Like, it makes that much of a difference. And it's like, I'm hearing it, and it's like, wow, so you must be talking about the people who get results. Because the people who don't get results, they're not getting that, that metabolic benefit. They're not getting anything. Maybe some blood flow while they do it. There's a benefit to that. Maybe a little bit of hormonal changes. There's a significant benefit to that. But are they going to look different? Are they going to feel different? Are they going to be motivated enough to stick to it? Because we should all stick to it for life. If people are quitting within 90 days, it's a fail. Just hands down. Just take the whole concept of the gym and just throw it in the fucking trash. Because it's just not working. So the solution I came up with was looking at the variability of force production capacity. So, for example, if I look at a chest press, and I don't know how many people listen to this podcast versus watch it. Do you guys know?
More listeners than watchers right now.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm doing, because you can't necessarily see me. But if I'm on a bench press and the bar's down on my chest, I can handle a certain load to get it right off my chest. And whatever that load is, that's usually what determines what we lift when we lift a weight. Is where, if we can handle it in the weakest or stretched range of motion. So my pectorals are stretched when the bar's laying on my chest. Now, as I move, I have very different force production capacities. So I can handle 7 times the force with my arms outstretched than I can with the bar on my chest. Well, if the variability is that great, weightlifting is stupid. Think about it. If you're 7 times stronger at extension than you are at stretch, why are we dealing with static weight? That makes absolutely no sense. Why don't we have a resistance that is equally as difficult at the bottom than it is at the top? So we just change the weight as we move. So I started asking these questions based on my invention of OsteoStrong, which is really just hyperloading the impact-ready range of motion, or the almost extended range of motion. So I know the human body is so much more capable, and that's what got the light on for me. But then I thought, okay, has anybody trained with variable resistance before? And I noticed there were a couple of studies. Well, once I started really looking at it, a full literature review, and this was in like 2011, and this is when I was doing the clinical trial in East London for the OsteoStrong medical devices. As I began looking at how variable resistance has been applied, I found a very practical application of it. There's a gym in Columbus, Ohio called the West Side Barbell. And the guy who started it, his name's Louis Simmons. He had an idea, a very similar idea to mine, but he came to the conclusion pretty early because he tried to talk to a couple scientists and nobody really wanted to listen to him. And he wasn't a scientist, but he was like, okay, I think I know how we're going to get human beings stronger, like a lot stronger. It's like something we've never seen before. And instead of trying to walk the scientific path, which, yeah, it's tough. Instead of doing that, he said, I'm just going to break world records. So he recruited a bunch of guys from Columbus, Ohio, and they got together in his gym, and they ended up breaking more world records out of that one gym than any country on earth ever has, including the United States. That's the story of West Side Barbell. And it's probably the greatest example of sports performance, absolute domination. This would be like, if the Green Bay Packers won half of the Super Bowls. Like, football wouldn't even be interesting anymore. Like, it would just be like, okay, the guys from West Side, they win everything. Great. And that's the way that story went down. Now, West Side has expanded, and they're now working with mostly MMA athletes and NFL. So the NFL strength and conditioning coaches, I know quite a few of them. They're all getting instruction, direction, and inspiration from West Side Barbell. But this is back in the day when I was developing this, and so I saw what West Side was doing, and I thought, okay, that's really complicated to set up, because what they were doing was setting up regular squat racks and bench press racks with rubber bands, so they could have greater force at the top of the movement than they would have at the bottom of the movement. And then they'd introduce a huge variance from top to bottom, and then gradually cut down on the variance when they got closer and closer to the weightlifting meet, so that they could be prepared to produce a lift that had never been seen before. And they would just consistently do this with just dozens and dozens of athletes. And so when I set out to do this, first I was just going to write a book about training with rubber bands. But the problem was, training with rubber bands and standard fitness equipment doesn't work very well. And a lot of gyms don't like bands because sometimes they go flying across the room. They could hit somebody in the face, take out an eye. There's some danger associated. And people throw bands around a lot of silly things, the edge of a dumbbell rack, and then they knock the dumbbell rack over onto themselves. So, like, you go into a gym and you start throwing bands around, like a pull-up bar or something like that, immediately somebody will come out and be like, yeah, you can't do that for liability reasons, which I understand. So what I developed was a self-contained system. So it's the bar, the plate, and the banding, and you don't hook it to anything other than the bar and the plate. So it's self-contained, it's safe, the plate's not going to break, the bar's not going to break. And you're able to place force on the body where it can handle incredible forces, and then less force where it can handle less force. That way, you can go to momentary muscular fatigue with a load that's changing. I want you guys to take a look at this. So you see me doing a chest press here, and you can see the force right there. You can see I'm pushing about 400 pounds at the top, 200 pounds at the bottom. And I'm doing however many repetitions I can do. But as I go to fatigue, you'll notice I fatigue in diminishing range. So the first fatigue point is where I'm right at about 400 pounds. And then you notice the next rep's shorter because I can't get there anymore. So that's the first point of fatigue. Now, I go to multiple points of fatigue in one set, which is like, you can't do that with a weight. But like, so one set, muscles full of glycogen, and I have 6 momentary muscular fatigue points. And that, like going to fatigue with a fresh muscle, that's the stimulus. Doing set after set after you're already worn out, it's just a waste of time. You don't get anything out of it. And it's only relevant, like regular weightlifting is only relevant when you're at the bottom anyway. So
what do you mean by the bottom?
It's only like when you're doing a bench press, the weight is only heavy to you when the bar is on your chest.
Gotcha.
When you're at full extension, it's easy. Same with a squat. You know, the part where you're almost standing up, easy. The part where your legs are parallel to the floor, very difficult. I mean, a lot of people find that so difficult they can't even do it with their own body weight. I see people who actually can't just body weight squat from the floor. And of course, you'd call that deconditioning, but there's a lot of people who are deconditioned.
So my understanding, which can be very wrong, was back in the day when Ellington Darden, Dr. Darden, and Arthur Jones invented the Nautilus machines with the cam, that cam was for the variable resistance. Is that not true?
Yes, everything you just said is correct. However, they didn't know what ratios were right. See, I benefited off of newer research. They did this 30 years ago, or probably more like 40 years ago.
And Joe Cerulli with MetaFit, they were all working
together.
I
know all 3 of those people you mentioned. I would say that now that I had the benefit of a variable resistance research that really was derived from what Westside Barbell was doing. So the 90s is really when all this information came out about incredible strength being built with variable resistance. And so, I mean, I saw this and it's just like, all right, forget about powerlifting. Like, let's just do this, only this. I bet this will make the difference. And it was like, within 30 days, I looked like a different person. Now I had to eat correctly, which is, a thing. And not a lot of people want to do that, but.
Is there a difference in the duration in something like this versus, locking yourself in a gym for an hour to 3 hours?
Great question. Yes. You can't handle much of this, but you don't need to. You want to stimulate and then you want to let your body respond. So my workout is like maybe 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week.
And are you doing the same workout or are you doing body parts? How are you breaking that up?
About a year ago, we partnered with Westside Barbell, the guys who really just pioneered this. And it was like, we make the greatest variable resistance product. They're the best people to train people with variable resistance. So now we work together. So I do the Westside Barbell program. It's very similar workouts every day, but you change those workouts every 3 weeks. And the reason you change the workouts every 3 weeks is you can't maximize everything all at the same time. So like I can't go for maximum pectoral growth, maximum shoulder growth, maximum tricep growth, maximum bicep, you know what I mean? Like it's like you want to really focus on 1 or 2 things at once, and you want your workout to be fairly brief because you need to be able to recover from it. And also like everybody that Westside Barbell takes care of gets on a field or in a ring and has to perform. So being dead tired all the time, not an option. So I do that, and I really just use the same programming that they have the NFL do. So sometimes it'll be, benching 4 days a week. Sometimes squatting 4 days a week. Sometimes deadlift 4 days a week.
And what about the speed? Are you going from explosive or super slow or mixing up the variables?
Yeah, some days it's heavy and slower, and other days it's explosive. So they have that like So as you're kind of getting burned out from a 3-week cycle of one type of exercise, then you make the weight a little bit lower and you go much higher repetitions with really doubling down on that diminishing range. And then you start over again with low reps and higher weight and slower cadence. But the cadence really doesn't matter that much, just as long as fatigue.
Time under tension.
Yeah, there's a study from 2 weeks ago that really shows that time under tension is not nearly as important as fatigue. But I mean, it still is. Like, you still need to spend time with tension in the muscle. But I think the better thing is everybody wants their advice to be summarized into a sentence fragment meme for everything, apparently. But it's like one of those, you want to strategically place as much force through the musculature as possible. And you also want to use a full range. And so when the relevant force is used, you have what's called velocity loss, meaning you cannot maintain the same speed of movement. That's really the mechanism for growth.
What about recovery from a workout like that? I'm at a season of my life where I'm spending almost as much time doing recovery because I have the time, and the gym is my home away from home. So I'm doing compression and cold plunges and saunas. And what kind of recovery do you recommend for considering muscle growth and strength is really the goal?
Yeah. My recovery strategy is really having a brief, high intense workout strategy. That way most of those recovery things, they don't actually work so great. Cold plunges are indicated for growing less muscle, like what happens is metabolites collect in the musculature and are there to facilitate the protein synthesis. But then when you have a cycle of, I guess, vasoconstriction and vasodilation, which would be either hot or cold, you flush out all those metabolites and the growth doesn't happen. So while you get rid of your soreness, you also get rid of the growth.
You're talking about the study about ice baths or plunging after workouts. Yeah, they said it definitely inhibited growth, no doubt.
Yeah.
So they suggested if you're going to do it at another time. And ultimately...
Yeah, don't do it post-workout.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. I think cold plunges are awesome first thing in the morning. Like, you'll quit drinking coffee if you jump into 35-degree water.
Dr. J, I have my coffee and my plunge at the same time, man. So
or that. Yeah.
So.
But you're ready to start the day after you jump in 35-degree water for a minute.
Feels good when you get out. Yeah, I have like a 25-minute drive home from the cold plunge at the gym, and I can feel the cold on my body. By the time I get home, like, all the inflammation's gone from my body. But I'll see if I can mix that up. I may have to get a cold plunge at the house, not a post.
Or just do your cold plunge and then do your workout.
I could do that. Yeah. I mean, I did some study with, oh my goodness. He was a cardiologist who helped to open the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, Dr. Irving Dardick, different than Dr. Darden. And his whole premise was on heart rate variability and really any variability. So going from cold to hot, light to dark, sprinting to meditating. And so I do see people going from like sauna to cold, back and forth, trying to build heart rate variability, which is a great predictor of health. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's not wrong. It's certainly interesting, but I mean, you're asking me questions like, what's the practical, like, what do you do to recover? I mean, I might disappoint you with this answer. I flood my body with essential amino acids. So I take 6 scoops of Fortigen a day, which is a essential amino acid complex. Is basically the closest thing you can get to what they give cancer patients, the master amino acid profile. They give this to cancer patients to combat the muscle wasting seen with chemo and radiation therapy. I take 300 grams of protein via that every day. So I almost don't even need to worry about my macros, because the important thing I get in mass and of a quality that's like just astronomical. It's better than mother's milk. These are it's the essential amino acids. They're made from bacterial cultures, so like made the right way, so your body can use them. Because there are some other ways you can synthesize essential amino acids where they don't
And
work as well in the body. Yeah.
I didn't mean to speak over you. I also read on your website about the essential aminos are also okay because it's what, 4 calories or something like that. You could take it if you're in a fasted state, which is
Right.
very rare.
Yeah.
See, they're fragments of proteins, not complete proteins. So they're the fragments that the body can't make on themselves. That's why we call them essential. We need them. And then the rest of there's 20 amino acids that go into a human protein. The rest, the body makes. And usually out of anything. Fat cells, old cells from whatever, like it can, recycles protein material. Scar tissue gets metabolized. Especially like you notice, like if you ever do like a lot of fasting, you'll notice your scars are disappearing. That's because you're metabolizing that tissue.
Yeah.
So
These perfect aminos, but say the name of yours again.
Fortigen.
Fortigen.
Perfect Amino is a great company though. Like
That's what it is.
I like those guys.
Okay. So while we're on diet, you've made some controversial statements. Some people would say, zero carb or extremely low carbs.
Well, I never said zero.
So low carbs.
Yeah, the study that I like to point at is one that was done by a friend of mine, Menno Henselmans. And what they determined was to replenish glycogen for a strength athlete, a large male strength athlete. It takes about 20 grams of carbohydrates on a workout day. So I stay right around there. It's not zero carbs, but I want muscle glycogen to be optimized because, you look better, you feel better, you have more gas in the tank when it comes to contracting musculature. You can deplete that and you'll certainly lose body fat faster, but there's going to be maybe a little bit of a performance difference. But from an aesthetic standpoint, your muscles look a lot more flat. So it's like that 20 grams is really just so, you have kind of a little more pumped up look.
And you're getting that from vegetables mostly, or where are you getting it?
Yeah, rice, fruit.
Okay.
But, very, very little. Like 20 grams is not much.
Okay.
It is not much. So you're getting 300 grams of protein in a day. Let's talk about the proper amount of protein, if we can touch on that. I like
Our
the
population, which is 50 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually go with the simple rule of thumb when I'm working with somebody to lose weight. I said, look, find out whatever your healthy body weight is, 1 gram of protein. Focus on that first, and then whatever's left over, go with that route as something simple versus counting every darn calorie and every this and every that in the beginning. People complicate the simple. What's your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. That's way better. Count grams of protein. Make sure you get the right amount of protein because at least you're metabolically good. Like you're building the maximum amount of muscle. That muscle is an engine that's running to make you more efficient, better, healthier, and live longer all the time. So focus on that. There's a reason why people who have the people with the most musculature live the longest. That's why. It's muscle has a symbiotic relationship with every organ in the body. The reason the other organs function is to supply muscle with what it needs. If you lose muscle, they call that frailty. And that kills people. Like a lot of older people, it's like, oh, what happened to your grandmother? She's just frail. Like she just, she was sick all the time. And, like, okay, yeah, that's just lack of muscle. Like that's a very solvable problem, provided you're training in a way where you can get that result.
With enough protein, yeah. So what got you interested in the bone density training and enhancing bone density?
My mother. My mother was diagnosed with osteoporosis, and she came home, she was crying, and came from the doctor, and she said, I can't do anything anymore because her favorite things to do were hiking, tennis, and gardening. All outdoors, she could slip and fall doing any of those things. She's like, I can't do anything anymore. And she was crying, and I was just like, oh, this is awful. Like, my mom, let me read about this. And so as I started to read about it, I said, Mom, she wouldn't take the medications either. She saw the side effects as like worse than just not gardening. So when I looked at it, I thought, well, if you just were able to put heavy loads through the body and, high impact, and I didn't say this to my mother because I was like, I'm not going to talk her into like, taking up gymnastics at 70. But I thought, okay, heavy loads on the body. I said, Mom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a device that will isolate very small movements in your body. They're the positions that you would naturally absorb high impact. You're going to go through 4 of these different positions. So one for the core, one for the upper extremities, one for the lower extremities, and one for the spine. And in this process, you will build bone density to the point where you won't need to worry about your osteoporosis again. And, she's like, okay, sounds good to me. And so I did it to make sure it was safe for her. But as we progressed, I think within 18 months, she had the bones of a 30-year-old.
Wow. So did you do a DEXA scan? Did you?
Yeah. No, we did. Okay. We did regular DEXA scans. And now that OsteoStrong's been launched, they have DEXA data for hundreds of thousands of people. Over 1 million postmenopausal women have been treated. Yeah, it's a huge success. It works really well, and there's no side effect to it.
And is there any supplements that you recommend with it? Is it calcium or the algae or any supplement you like for bone growth?
A lot of them take algae cal, and there's some other locations encourage that. Other locations not necessarily so much. So what's really important is getting protein. Like your bone mass is mostly made of calcium and some other minerals and protein. And when you're low in protein, you lose bone mass. So it's like that. The vegans have horrible bone density, and they have fragility fractures very early in life because they lack the animal protein that's required to retain those minerals in the bone.
So do you recommend mineral supplements or just get it from protein? Get it from your meat?
Yeah, I think just get it from the animal protein. Like I think the vitamin recommendations that are put out there, those all came from expert opinion in the 1950s. That's probably the worst example of medical evidence that we still use today. It's ludicrous. And in fact, since you guys have not heard me say these things before, you probably won't know the answer to this question. So here's the test. How many calories would you need to eat in a day to get to the recommended daily allowances ascribed by the American Medical Association if you couldn't do any supplements? So just whole foods. So
probably
meat, fish, vegetables, whatever, to get all your vitamins. How many calories would you need?
Probably 5,000. Is it more?
Based on what their recommendations are?
Yeah.
To get in all the bread.
I'm going to say it's way lower. The recommendations are way low.
So you're talking about like the food guide pyramid.
Wait,
so
you think the vitamin recommendations are too low?
I believe so, yeah. What they're recommending to get the daily amounts in. Well, to
get to the current amounts that they are recommending. The question is, how many calories do you need to eat enough whole foods to get to all the recommended levels of vitamins?
Do I get to go to ChatGPT while you're not looking, or no? Do I get to go to ChatGPT?
No, it's a good question. So I was imagining.
I was wondering if that's what you were doing.
I was imagining
I'd be down here like this, Doc.
And I was thinking about the pyramid and what they recommend of all this carbs.
If you wanted to get your vitamins from
like 10,000,
27,000 calories.
27,000. Okay, yeah.
Which tells you that the vitamin recommendations are absolute BS.
That's insane.
They're just stupid.
I
just pulled it out of the air.
Wow.
In the 1950s, before they even had any research on the subject.
And the nutritional value of our food is so much lower now. It's probably more than 27,000 calories to get in the vitamin K and the vitamin D and the iron. Yeah.
It's insane. Well, But I like the statistic because it's like this was the beginning of medical fraud. This was the beginning of companies selling stuff and using the medical field to push misinformation so they could sell the product.
You mean they do that in our country?
Hard to believe.
I don't believe it.
No. So I tell people not to worry about vitamin levels unless they notice a very specific thing that like something's going wrong and that's associated with like a vitamin K deficiency. Okay, try vitamin K then. But other than that, like just eat animal protein and you're going to get the vitamins you need.
Okay. And you're mostly, steak, ground beef. Are you doing pork? You're doing...
Not much pork.
Okay.
Pork's hard to digest.
Yeah.
I think that I can do chicken, I can do beef. I'll do pork as like a garnish. Like sometimes I'll get like, 4 burger patties and like 4 pieces of bacon or something like that.
Fish?
I'll do fish, sure. Yeah. And that's most of what I.
And once a day, one meal a day.
1 meal a day. But you could call it 3 meals a day because in the morning I have 3 scoops of Fortigen. In the afternoon I have 3 scoops of Fortigen. So that's 300 grams of protein right there. The caloric load is not high, but the nutrient load is sky high. So.
Where would you say your caloric load's at for the day?
On weekdays, it might be around, it'll be 1,000 calories. And then weekends, maybe 4,000 calories.
Gotcha.
I eat more than 1 meal on the weekends.
Okay.
So you're definitely getting some of the aminos in and the protein in through the drinks because the 1,000, you could get 200, 250. I'm just doing some quick
I'm
math
definitely
here.
not eating at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting the protein from the supplement, which is great because it really shows me like what Fortigen does. Like you can have. I've gone 5 days consuming nothing but Fortigen, basically a fast for 5 days. So all I had was water and the Fortigen because you got to mix it in water. It's a powder, and the before and after the 5 day, I have it on my Instagram. It was phenomenal. Like I dropped a ton of fat. I didn't gain any muscle immediately until after I rehydrated. It looked like I actually gained like half a pound of muscle. It was, and I do that every week.
And you didn't lose any muscle, which is the great part because typically a longer fast like that, you could definitely suffer on the muscle loss.
Right. So what you would call what I do, you'd call it a protein sparing modified fast. So it's sort of the benefit of fasting, but I'm getting a high amount of usable protein into the body. So I can still build muscle. Because like you hear bodybuilders say, like, you got to eat big to get big. No, that is not true. If you eat big, that's how you get fat. And really building muscle is about protein only. You need fats for your organs to function correctly, for your skin and your nails to grow. But ultimately, like that might be 50 grams. You need 1 gram per pound of body weight for the musculature, and the amount of carbohydrates you need, I would say, based on that meta-analysis that Menno Henselmans wrote, 20 grams. You don't need more than that.
So you're getting your fat from the meat, or are you having an avocado, some coconut oil, or
Just from meat.
Just from the meat.
Some days, like on weekends, I'll have 4 ounces of liverwurst. That's like one of my go-to things. That's like I'll do 4 ounces of liverwurst with like pork rinds.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's high fats. And,
so for our listeners who are out there who are 50, who've been going to the gym, not seeing the results, they're frustrated, where would you recommend that they start to give them some hope and some results?
probably go to my website first. Go to drj.com, DOCTOR, the letter J.com, and just start wherever you want to. It'll talk about superior nutrition. You'll read about Fortigen. Superior exercise. You'll read about X3. superior bone density, OsteoStrong. I think that the approach that I'm taking, I'm not trying to be contrarian for the sake of it, but almost everything we're doing from a fitness perspective just isn't working. There's a huge problem with testosterone replacement therapy also. The way we administer it, it almost guarantees it won't work because we upregulate SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, which just cancels out testosterone. And the way we're doing it, we're maximizing SHBG. We need to minimize that. So that's another thing I'm working on. I'm coming out with a product later this year that addresses a better way to apply replacement therapy with fast-acting testosterone, so you do not upregulate SHBG.
So if somebody had to pick a way to raise testosterone now, what would you suggest, or what would you suggest staying the hell away from?
So stay the hell away from being a vegan. That's dumb. You will crash your testosterone and multiple other hormones by doing so. Heavy animal protein and training heavy. Now, with variable resistance, there's plenty of evidence to support this. That the heavier loads go through your body, the more testosterone receptors become active, and the more your body makes. But the receptors are even more important than how much your body makes, because you can have people who, like I said, 6.6% of people use anabolic steroids. Why can't you tell by looking at them? Well, because just putting the anabolics in your body doesn't mean the receptor sites are going to be very active. You need heavy. And that's one of the benefits of variable resistance, because it's a strategy to get the heaviest possible loads through your body with the least amount of injury risk. If that makes sense.
That makes a hell of a lot of sense, and it's important too, because we've all been through
that'll
injuries.
Get your testosterone, and I also think a lot of people have an idea of like what healthy testosterone is. Like I see guys who are like, "Oh, my testosterone's over 1,000 nanograms a deciliter," and I'm like, "Oh, you're on like cypionate or an anthate?" And yeah, because that's normal for TRT. That's gonna work for 3 months, and then it won't work anymore.
So let's talk SARMs. Let's talk pellets. Let's talk low doses of cypionate. Which one's the lesser of the three evils? Which one is effective and which one's complete bullshit?
None of them are bullshit.
Okay.
SARMs, unfortunately, as we have found out really the last 2 years, they just wreck your natural production. Just destroy it. And that wasn't apparent when they were new and being tested. So I really don't see a big future in
Well, don't you have to, don't they have to do for research and development for SARMs, kind of like they have to do with the peptides? Meaning you got to get in that gray area for them to market those and sell those with the SARMs, like Carterin, things like that.
Yeah. They certainly have. Bodybuilders are a group of people who will inject chemicals that are not proven.
Yeah, I took SARMs. I didn't like it because it made my entire joints just so friggin' achy. Did not like the side effect of that. Very,
you know what you
very
took?
Not good feeling. What's that?
Do you know which one you took?
Oh God, it was a while ago, probably 7, 8, 9 years ago. I have really good friends in New Jersey that own a nutritional company, and they were the ones who hooked me up with it. Crazy enough that the gentleman who was there was a bodybuilder, ended up dying at 39. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop this shit.
Yeah, not somebody who you want to draft off of.
SARMs.
SARMs are like, man, they're the worst. I tell people never do a cycle of steroids because you got to deal with so much shit that's not worth it. But I would rather have somebody do that than do a SARM, unless they just like if your natural productions are already destroyed. Okay, knock yourself out. But there was recently Greg Doucette. It wasn't Greg Doucette. It was someone else. Oh, it was Derek from More Plates, More Dates. He's got a great YouTube channel. He reviewed this guy's blood work, who had taken. He suspected the guy had taken some SARMs, and he showed some, explained some examples how when you take a SARM, this kid, I think he was like 23 nanograms to the deciliter. Like, it might as well be 0. Like, that's so unheard of. I had massive, when I got on TRT, I had massive testicular damage from a rugby hit. And I lost a testicle and severely damaged the other one. And I was still 165 nanograms to the deciliter.
So you're saying this kid was 23,
23.
25? Is that even possible to get that low? Jeez.
Well, it was for him on that day.
Wow. So speaking of which, you go to a doctor, you get your test checked, and then the doctor says it's normal for your age. What is normal for our age? Or do we not accept that?
It's interesting when they say that, because they don't really know that. Because yes, it's been studied, but there's variability is incredible, and also...
See, I was really lucky. My GP worked out all the time. We were good friends. He took testosterone replacement. He was a big fan of it. So, he enlightened me, and I've been seeing a naturopath for, probably almost 20 years at this point. So, I mean, I've done TRT. I've done pellets for the most part here. I've probably got more scar tissue. I say to my doctor, I says, you've seen my ass more than most women have. So, so.
Yeah, pellets, they're not great either.
Yeah, I know they're not that great. I'm looking for an alternative to that, because at this point, at 58, I feel it when those levels get low for sure. So
what the solution to this problem is fast-acting testosterone. There's a couple approaches to it. One of them is testosterone suspension. Now, the downside of that is you got to take injections every day, and suspension crystallizes, so it feels like you injected shards of broken glass. So bad user experience.
You get that really burning feeling from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But if that's all you do, first thing in the morning, you have high testosterone for 2 hours. The receptor sites become populated. Because it metabolizes so fast, nanograms to the deciliter, with 15 milligrams of testosterone, you can go to 2,300 nanograms to the deciliter. 15 times 7 is 105. So that's less than a TRT dose. And you're getting steroid levels of androgen activity. So that's the superior solution. Now, fortunately, injecting suspension is not the only way to get this. There's a group of bodybuilders that are starting to promote powdered, micronized, unesterified testosterone. So you can snort it and get that effect. So, getting 15 milligrams is not really a lot. Now, there's some downside to that. Like, it doesn't feel great, but it's certainly better than injecting shards of broken glass. What I think the ultimate way is this is what I'm launching later this year, is a sublingual gel that you squirt under your tongue, let it sit there for about 90 seconds. And, you can have that 15 milligrams of testosterone absorb in that period of time, 100% absorption. And, then you're basically populated your receptor sites. As long as you train and eat the proper amount of protein that day, you're growing. And that can repeat every single day. So it's almost like and by the way, after 2 hours, it's out of your system. So SHBG never goes up. Estrogen never goes up. Hematocrit never goes up. Basically, this is TRT plus the benefits of a steroid cycle that can go on in perpetuity every day, and there are no side effects at all.
And the hemoglobin, the red blood cell count doesn't spike either, or
the hematocrit. That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thickening of the blood.
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
Okay, because that's something
you only have high testosterone for 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I experience that all the time, so I'm always donating blood. Yeah, so
that problem solved with this.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely give the website at the end again.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm still thinking about our listener who's like, I'm going to go mostly meat now, a little bit of berries maybe. Are you doing any prebiotic, probiotic, postbiotic, digestive enzyme, magnesium, like anything to help digest the meat? Your body just does it. Did you sort
I,
of work your way up to that? I mean, if someone's like just eating a traditional American diet or whatever their diet looks like and they want to transition to a higher meat diet, is there a way to do it or you just go?
you just do it.
Just
I
do it.
mean,
Okay.
yeah, we survived for millions of years eating pounds of meat a day. We didn't
Yeah.
have digestive enzymes.
Okay.
Like I think a lot of people and being in the health field, the three of us, we get almost, it's like we can't see past certain aspects of like what we want to do to help people, right? But it's like no one has a deficit of digestive enzymes. You have digestive enzymes, like they work. Just eat a better diet. If they're not working, it's probably because you're eating like an unsupervised child.
And you're going for the best quality meat? I mean, I have a butcher here that they slaughter on Monday and I go in on Tuesday. I buy I know
Nice.
this family, I know their ranch, I know there's no
Yeah,
steroids,
I
hormones.
do a lot of local.
Yeah, so I do it local, slaughter Monday. I'm in there on Tuesday getting my meat for the week.
I never thought I'd hear out of Kelly's mouth Slaughter Monday. There's something new you hear all the time here. So,
Yeah, no,
That's
it's fresh
that's
on
where food comes
Tuesday.
from.
That's when I
no,
go.
it's cool. What else did I wanted to ask you? So, what do you think about what's going on with the state? And let's get into not too much politics, but do you think we're making some, like the other day they came out and said that Tylenol directly or indirectly affects autism. And then you had all these freaking people on TikTok going, women, pregnant women, taking Tylenol just to prove a point, which to me makes zero sense on that. But do you feel like we're getting some ground or we're making some ground on this whole Make America Healthy movement? If
I
not,
think
what should
so.
we be doing?
I think we are. I don't know if Tylenol is going to end up being the culprit, but we're looking at it. I think Robert's point isn't that he thinks he knows what causes all problems. The issue that he was looking at is nobody was allowed to research it. Like, why was the National Institute of Health denying any funding for any sort of vaccine study of any vaccine? Like, why don't you want anyone looking into this? It seems like maybe what you're selling is a piece of shit that doesn't work, and you don't want people to know that. So, now ultimately, I don't think Tylenol is going to be the devil we think it might be. But part of the reason Robert's doing this is like he doesn't want to seem like he's already got his mind made up that autism is caused by like the mercury in the vaccines, which if you look at learn anything about mercury poisoning and look
Well,
at
I
how we
think,
suspend the vaccines, and we do it in mercury.
well,
So,
I think the point
maybe it's
is
that. But he doesn't
it's,
want to be like too biased.
yeah, and I think that's a smart move. No matter what that guy says, they're always going to be on his shit, no doubt. So, that's just the way this country has become so darn divided. So,
Also, right. And also the people who are like taking Tylenol to like prove, somebody wrong while they're pregnant. It's like, okay, so you're willing to risk the health of your child because you don't like the president.
Yeah, you want to be a rebel.
Who, by the way, didn't even make this comment. Robert Kennedy did. It's just like, I mean, if people are willing to like risk their lives to make a political point, I got a story. I had a friend who was from Vietnam, and he was there during some pretty dark days after the U.S. troops pulled out. This is back in the 60s and 70s. There was a monk who poured gasoline all over himself and lit himself on fire in front of the government building that my friend lived by. And My friend tried to help him. He was like, "Oh my God, get a bucket of water. We got to put this water out." And the government officials were like, "No, let him burn. Let him make his point. He's trying to make a point. Don't ruin it for him. Let him make his point." And it's very interesting because ultimately that point was, whoa, we don't really like totalitarian governments. So it's kind of like the monk got his way. But the government officials were in a place where they're like, okay, if you believe so strongly in this, go ahead. The unfortunate part is these women are risking the health of their children, not themselves. So it's not an equivalent.
Well, good thing we didn't come out and say that smoking was bad during pregnancy or drinking alcohol was bad during pregnancy, because I have a shitload of that and TikTok videos at this point.
I mean, if am I allowed to be a little cynical here?
Sure.
Anyone who would...
We're from Jersey, John.
Okay, oh good. Yeah, that's true, you are. Anyone who would do this, take Tylenol, like just shove it in somebody's face, like, ha ha, I'm doing the thing that's supposed to hurt my kid and it won't hurt my kid. That kid is screwed anyway because they have a horrible parent and they're probably going to be nothing but victimhood mentality losers their whole lives. Every problem they have is going to be somebody else's fault. They'll blame white people or taxes or whatever, or the fact that we're not communists. Like, okay, like we're just looking at like loser culture. So I'm not too worried about these people.
It's gotten bad, no doubt. I think the thing that I would probably take away from that release is that it lowers your immune system. Was it lower your glutathione levels? Am I getting that right? And then if your immune system's now lower, let's say you weren't breastfed, now all of a sudden, as the years go by, you're getting a whole bunch of mercury pumped into your system. Your immune system's compromised.
72 vaccines.
It can't help the situation here. So, but you want to go out there and be an example. God bless you. That's the way you want to go out there and get attention by negative attention. See how that
they're
lasts.
allowed to do that, unfortunately. But
The existing vaccine schedule there's 72 vaccines by the time you're 18 years old.
yeah.
That's just insane. And we wonder why
and there's
autism is
really
high.
not high quality research on hardly any of them.
And that's the point I think you brought up, is that they're just not researching this stuff. And, now we're getting the conversation at least going. So
Yeah.
I like where the direction's going, and a little slower than I'd like it to, but that's government. It always takes a longer time.
Well,
than you want
and
it to.
also part of the problem is, we have everyone in the Democratic Party trying to stop absolutely everything that the administration is trying to do, whether it be good or bad. It's like, this is not medical related, but Jerome Powell won't change the interest rates because he wants Trump to fail. So he's willing to screw over every American so he can say Trump is bad.
Crazy.
Like, what?
TDS is a serious thing, man. That's going to be a diagnosis for many years to come, for sure.
Yeah.
So on a happier note, Dr. J, you have so many cool things going on. You've got your testosterone solution coming up. So what's the next frontier for you? What are you working on?
Well, I'm always working on something to make people healthier. So it was first the bone density, then X3, and then Fortigen, and now it's the new testosterone. So the new testosterone is going to take a lot of time. I probably have to do 500 podcasts to try and explain that and get people excited about it and understanding like just why you'd want to do this. Also, like, not only are there no side effects, there's no needles either. Like, I know a lot of people have no trouble with needles, but wouldn't you rather not? Like, I fly 200,000 miles a year. I go to countries where when you have needles in your bag, you're going to be held at the airport for an extra hour or two answering questions.
And it has to be refrigerated most of the time, right? Then you have to pack it on ice, some of the things.
Testosterone doesn't, but like
other things.
Peptides and growth hormone typically does.
So I meant to ask you on peptides, what is your take on peptides? Which ones are good? Which ones are crap?
That's a whole another hour.
Yeah, we're going to get you back, man. Talk about peptides. Hell yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
So
I'll just do a brief on a couple that I believe in. I caution people don't run out and get all the peptides, because like I know somebody who's taken like 15 of them. It's like, if something good happens to you, you don't even know where it came from. So are you just gonna keep taking all 15 forever? Try them one at a time. You got to isolate variables. That's the design of a good study. I feel like the better ones out there are the ones that have just produced the greatest results. So we're now at the point with the GLP agonists that there's a GLP-3. It has 3 mechanisms. The brand name for that is retatrutide. But I think most people are just calling it GLP-3. I microdosed it for a week, and I talked to Dr. Sean Baker. I had him do a video with me because I knew he would be he's very skeptical of the GLPs. He thinks people should just have proper nutrition and not bother with any of this other stuff, and it's just a better way to be. But you can really control your appetite with this. Now, I mean, GLP-1 was harsh, and a lot of people didn't like it. But the 3, I take 1 milligram of that, and seriously, for 10 days, I just don't really think about food.
That's Reta, right? That's short name for that is what they call it, Reta. I think
retatrutide is the.
And that's good for also maintaining muscle while you lose fat.
Well,
or no,
the whole idea that GLP agonists cause you to lose muscle is not quite right. Mm-hmm. The GLP agonists reduce your appetite. They do not touch muscle at all. If you have a nutrient deficiency, think of the typical, maybe person who just wants to lose 30 pounds. They might be getting 50 grams of protein a day, and they think that's a lot. Well, now that their appetite's gone down, if you have a nutrient deficiency, now you've just amplified your nutrient deficiency if you're going to keep eating the same. So now they're eating half the protein, which was already less than half of what they needed. So now they're getting a quarter or less of the protein they need. That's why they're losing muscle. It's just because they reduced their appetite and they were eating stupid, bullshit anyway. It's like, if you're going to take a GLP agonist, there's only a few things there's a couple things you need to know. Number one, your diet needs to focus on protein. It's either protein only or almost all protein, because you need to maintain muscle and you don't have the appetite for it. So you shouldn't be eating anything other than that. Also, massively reduce fiber. This slows down, the GLP agonists slow down your metabolism. Well, if you eat a bunch of fiber and you slow down your metabolism, you're going to get an intestinal blockage. That's why these people are having intestinal problems. And I've said this to at least 100 physicians, and they were like, wow, I never even thought of that. Right, because you guys don't take a single class in nutrition. That's why you didn't think of it. So just getting the fiber out of your diet, well, now I mean, the constipation issue goes away, the intestinal blockage, the nausea, all these side effects. Here's another side effect they talk about: blindness. Well, the blindness is from diabetes. That's been known for 100 years. So you have a drug that's really good for people with diabetes. They take it, and then because they're still totally out of shape and metabolically unhealthy, some diabetes shit happens to them. Well, why would you blame the peptide for that? Blindness is a common thing when you've oversaturated your insulin receptor sites. So, it's diabetes, it's not the peptide. So I'm a huge fan of the GLP agonists as peptides. Obviously, BPC 157, everybody says that's great, and they're right. It's great. When there's, it won't heal you 100%, but it'll help the rate of healing dramatically. And I also wouldn't be on that in perpetuity. Just because I think some people are like, oh, I take it for workout recovery. Is it really that kind of healing? I don't know. And I honestly don't know. And they haven't really measured that in research yet.
So back to the 10 days that you were taking the retro, and I interrupted you, which I apologize for. Give us your experience on that.
Nothing sounded good. You just didn't want to eat anything. Just, you eat for fuel.
So were you able to maintain your 300 grams of protein, or was it just a job at that point? So
I take the Fortigen.
Okay.
That's how I get the 300 grams.
Okay.
And, my appetite was significantly lower, so I just didn't eat anything.
And you were microdosing, you said what, 1 mg?
1 milligram, right. 1 milligram for the week. 1 milligram, one shot.
And what's the levels on that? What's the level 1, 2, 3? Is that like level 1, 2, 3, and 4, like semaglutide, or no? You start out like a half. Yeah, they usually have the 4 different levels, from what I learned, and then usually start out like a half a milligram and then work up to whatever. So
I didn't see anything like
okay.
that. I just I noticed that the minimum effective dose in research was 2 milligrams. So I just arbitrarily said, well, I'll try 1, because I don't want to be disgusted at the idea of eating, which people who take high doses, they do. Like you mentioned food in front of those people, and they'll just be like, ugh, eating is the last thing I want to do. I didn't want that feeling. I just a tiny bit of, I don't need that kind of thing. Somebody offers me a beer, I'm good. So that's what I wanted, and that's what I got. It was like I basically only had 24 calories a day for 7 days.
And did you feel great when it was over?
Absolutely. Felt great the whole time.
That's the best.
Yeah, never hungry. Another thing the GLPs do is they really show people you're not going to die if you skip a meal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think it's like, what do you mean I can't eat breakfast? And you're like, what?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like, why do you think you need that?
Yesterday, I spent a day at Gladden Longevity doing his longevity experience. So the morning is all testing, and then you have the afternoon of different modalities like hyperbaric, OsteoStrong, Juvent, the ozone sauna, and a bunch of things. And they were so concerned about me fasting. I'm like, no, I don't normally eat till 1 or 2 o'clock anyway. I'm totally good. They're like, oh, you would not believe what a big deal fasting is for our clients. We have to remind them, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't eat till 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's you can almost trigger like anxiety in people when you tell them they
Miss a meal.
don't eat breakfast and lunch, just have 1 meal a day, and they're like, it's ridiculous.
Well, Dr. J, we are so thankful to have you. We appreciate you being real and just, pushing the hard questions as you're out there doing. And we definitely invite people to go and check out your website and your other videos and YouTube. You've done a TED Talk, and we just appreciate you shaking up the conversation a little bit, sharing, what's real, what's working for you and your tribe of followers. And
I would encourage anybody to follow Jaquish Biomedical, my company, on YouTube. I try and keep the videos to under 10 minutes, but I'll talk about like the GLP agonists. I'll talk about different experiments I've run with different nutrition products, peptides. I did a little bit with tesofensine, which I do not use every day. It's a great peptide, but you use that intermittently because it builds up in your system and then you never sleep. All kinds of stuff. So I would encourage anybody to follow if they like the kind of things that I'm talking about, trying to optimize your physical health so you can be like I turned 49 yesterday. Thanks. I really feel like, well, I don't just feel like the metrics are there. Like I am better at everything right now than I ever was. Like my lifts are all bigger. I'm leaner. Probably my 40-yard time has gone down. I haven't tested that yet. I mean, I also weigh, probably 60 pounds more than I did when I played rugby. So that'll slow me down. But other than that, like everything's better. And it's because I've been really pushing on a couple of things. I think another thing that I do that's really unique is I'm not doing all the things. Like when you mentioned, you know, like the hyperbaric, and I love hyperbaric. It's amazing. I don't do it though, because I want to do just a couple things, because that's realistic. Like not everybody's gonna be able to spend an hour in a hyperbaric tank, you know, daily or 3 times a week. Like that's just, we don't have lives like that. Nobody has free time like that. It's like, and even if you do, if you get married, that time's gone. So, right? I mean, yeah.
You listening, Kelly? Are you listening to this, gentleman, Kelly? Okay, enjoy it. Okay.
Kinda like
yeah.
my
Your time is
single
no
life.
longer yours if you get married.
Between
That's
her,
really true of your
I have
family.
to, Dr. J, I have to watch her between her vacation trips with all her girlfriends and then doing all this. So she doesn't have a
Living
free
my
moment
best
for
life.
getting her on here is tough enough, man.
Yes.
Living my best life. Traveling
She's
the
doing
globe.
amazing. So yeah, I mean, what do? I do plunging and I do sauna. That's it. So I mean, for the most part, for
And you work out.
recovery. Yeah, and work out. Yeah. So
He jumps rope like nobody's business.
yeah.
Ooh,
He's
that
fierce
is
on a jump rope.
great- Literally, I've written about this. Jumping rope is one of the best exercises. It gives you
I
the
wish my
benefit-
knees would I'm bone on bone, man. I got 2 torn meniscus because I've been doing jump rope for 20 years, but yeah, I love it, man. I'm still hanging in there doing it. So
Have you always been lean this entire time?
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I probably had about 10 or 15, maybe 12 pounds more muscle. You know, I'm 58 now. I would say the sweet spot that I was in the best shape is your age. 49 was my best. Where I thought I was in the best shape. So
Okay. Yeah, jumping rope, man. It upregulates growth hormone and downregulates cortisol. It basically gives you the same metabolic effect of sprinting. It's just way lower risk of injury.
that's it. This much off the ground. You don't have
That's
to
right.
go high. So
Yep.
I call it the lazy person's workout. You do that for 30 seconds or a minute, and then your heart rate is, 80,
sky high.
90% of max.
Love it.
And you could sit there for a few minutes while it's just cooking away. So I love
Yeah.
it. Man.
A balance board does very similar things too.
Yeah, I do that. I do 100 jumps a day. Then I'll do my mini trampoline, 100 jumps, and then I'll do my vibration plate, and I do some balance work too. I'll get on the Bosu, but I like every hour I'll just stop for 5 minutes and do something to get out of my chair, because we were talking about in the last podcast, sitting is the new smoking. We got to get up and move.
Yeah. Vibration plates, same thing.
Yeah.
It's the benefit of jumping rope.
Yeah, I
I
did
used to
20
be the
minutes
chief-
yesterday.
What kind of vibration plate do you have?
The Juvent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a medical device.
And enlighten me. The vibration plate is the one where you sit it, you hold the handle, and you put your feet on it, and it vibrates. Is that what we're talking about, or something different?
I think Juvent does have a protocol where you sit, but
This one I did standing yesterday.
yeah,
And it vibrates, right? Like, because I've been on one of those, or am I
Well,
getting
there's
this wrong?
multiple types of vibration. There's fulcrum vibration, so it's like a teeter totter. There's a center pivot point, and you put 1 foot here and 1 foot here, and it does this. So it oscillates. One side goes up, one side goes down. The other type, which is far superior, is called triplanar, which is up and down, side to side, and forward and backward. So 3 planes of vibration. But it's uniform no matter where you are on the platform. So it's a little harder mechanically to create that. But that's the better kind. That's like, so I have a vibration platform. It's called the Growth Hormone Accelerator. And for the same purposes of what you're talking about, like jumping rope. Just that slight variability, forcing muscles to fire in reflex to rebalance you. That's where the hormones get triggered. So no matter what you're doing, that balance board, jumping rope, standing on a vibration platform, basically manifests in the same way.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And I was the chief science officer of PowerPlate for years,
Okay.
which is the biggest vibration company. Like I got to talk to all the scientists. There's some really cool people in that space.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, they have them at Lifetime Fitness for anyone who's a member there. I use it at Lifetime too.
They have a Juvent at Life?
No, the power plate.
Oh, yeah, power plate. You're right.
Yeah.
Dr. Gladden's where you had the Juvate, right? Or
Yes.
the, whatever that machine
Yeah.
is you were talking about. I just want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah, Dr. J, I don't know if you met Dr. Gladden, but he's a new franchisee of OsteoStrong.
Oh, where is he? What location?
Near Dallas. Irving. 100 is
yeah.
the new 30. Dr.
Yeah.
Gladden, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a great haircut.
I was
He
going to say
does.
you guys shop at the same barber. I was going to
right.
say.
Mark and I just got his book, so we're...
Beat me to it, man. Really good book. It's meaty, but it's a really good book. It really goes through mindset, all the testing. So I'm about halfway through the book, but really good.
And he believes in what you guys are doing with OsteoStrong. And that's how I connected with you when I saw the OsteoStrong equipment there, and they're getting ready to launch at the Irving location.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic, guys.
Yeah, it's good. Well, again, Dr. J, it was so great to get to know you. We appreciate your wisdom and your time and your standing for science. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let me know what the questions are, especially if you have anybody who's like, this guy's wrong about everything. Write down what that guy says. Do screenshots, and then we'll do another show, and I can either further elaborate on what I was talking about, I can provide evidence, or I can just point at somebody who's crazy.
Okay. We'll do it.
And then I'll provide the clinical references anyway.
That sounds great. So
Right.
again, it's drj.com.
Yeah, DOCTOR, the letter J.com. Also, Jaquish Biomedical on YouTube. If you don't know how to spell Jaquish, just go to drj.com. There'll be a link there.
Super. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Dr. J, you definitely walk the walk, talk the talk, and I say this to other guests, but man, you are one intense MFer. I'm going to say that with the utmost respect for you. Appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully everybody who watched this or listened to this today got something out of this that you could apply to your life and live a healthier lifestyle. In the meantime, thank you for plugging in. We'll see you all on the next episode. Bye-bye now.